Okay, this is the Battle of Little Bighorn site. The markers show where soldiers fell. There are also red markers that show where the Indians fell. This is the cemetery, and I'm at the lower end of it. So hot and dusty June 25th, 1876, when Custer and his 600 men, tired men, tried to subdue Arapaho, Cheyenne, and Sioux tribes that had gathered in the valley of the Little Bighorn and bring them back into reservation life. The encampment was huge. It spread over 2 miles. From this arrow area that it's pointed now, all the way over to right about here. 2,000 Native Americans in that encampment. Major Reno was ordered to go into the valley and engage the Native Americans. That is the valley below that I'm standing from. I can see it from here. And off in the distance is where he formed his first skirmish line, approximately, and was turned when the warriors attacked, forcing him back into the woods there, and then into a headlong retreat up the valley, this ravine here, up to this high hill. When the soldiers turned their back on the Indians, it became a rout, and became pretty much hand-to-hand combat as they tried to cross the river. Company G lost a lot of their men, about half of the men. Now, each got to realize each company is only about 45 to 50 men, and actually in this group it's about 45. So I'm looking at the valley and standing on top of what became the Reno-Benteen defensive area. So as Reno is engaging the Native Americans, Custer with 5 of his company, Reno had 3, Benteen had 3, Custer had 5. Custer rode across the same area that we are looking at right now and down Medicine Tail Ford. As he only split his command here and only took companies E and F down to the ford. And according to Indian eyewitnesses, he was shot off his horse at the river or close to it. Up on the bluffs there, you see a picture of some Crow scouts firing into the village as well. Crow and Sioux were blood enemies, mortal enemies. Again, we're looking at the same bluff that the Crow Scouts were standing on, firing into the village. Also, they got turned, they got stopped at the river, and they escaped up Deep Coulee. And with the Indians hot on their trail on both sides of them, forced these two companies past Greasy Grass Ridge, and Company E and F continued on because they were taking, from what we understand, dragging Custer up to what ended up being Last Stand Hill. So companies C, E, and F, I, and L were with Custer, and companies L and I and C were pretty much up by Battle Ridge at the time, but split up. So Calhoun was at the end of it. C was at the end of it at one time, and at one point, Company C approached the Native Americans here on Greasy Grass Ridge and pushed them back. But the warriors regrouped and charged back up and turned Company C's skirmish line, forcing them to go back. And you can see that they made a turn. Essentially, this is supposition that fish hook you see there, and essentially wiped out Company C. Whatever was left attempted to join up with Calhoun up at the top of the southern end of Battle Ridge, and they were not too successful because of this charge by a lame white man. It just overran the Company C position. Now, Native American warriors are now engaging in a circular motion. They're constantly flanking the soldiers, and the next group that's attacked is the Calhoun location at the south end of Battle Ridge. So Company C was lost pretty much on Greasy Grass Ridge, and attempts to get from there. Then there's a swallow that goes up toward Battle Ridge. So it's a very hilly country, and the Native American warriors take good use of the terrain to their advantage and to the troopers' disadvantage. Troopers are firing with single-shot rifles. They're slow. They're 4 times slower, the firing, than the repeating rifles that the warriors carry. Plus, the warriors have arrows, and they're getting close enough to fire them, and they're prepared to fight hand-to-hand combat with war clubs and knives and lances. So the next group to follow is Calhoun Hill, which is Company L. They also had their skirmish lines rolled up on themselves, and skirmish lines are 5 yards apart. Men are 5 yards apart. And they're also the problem with the skirmish lines is the company loses immediately 1/4 of their men, because for every 4 men, 1 man has to hold the horses. The Native American warriors stampede the horses. Obviously, they're killing the men holding them. And then you can see that there's where panic took place, because the skirmish line falls apart. They group up into groups, and that's how a lot of the forensic evidence shows what has occurred, that they get grouped up and are being, quickly annihilated. The whole battle supposedly took somewhere between 45 minutes and 2 hours for the Custer fight. The general information says about 45 minutes. It was pretty much a rout right from the get-go. Now, Keogh group was below Battle Ridge. He took a stand. Captain Keogh was considered a good fighter by the Native Americans, so he wasn't mutilated afterwards. Most other soldiers were. That was custom, to make sure the spirit would not live in the afterlife comfortably. He took a stand here, but you can see the grouping as well with the marble markers, and obviously the skirmish line failed and closed in on itself. So it was like one company after another. At one point, Company E or Company F tried to make a swing around more to the north. They immediately got turned back toward Last Stand Hill. There are some Indian markers down below. You can see this showing the approach of Crazy Horse and his attack on Keogh's position. And at this point, it is pretty much a rout. Wooden Lake Hills on the backside. It's on the east side of Last Stand Hill, and you can't see where the markers are on Last Stand very easily from there. Again, the terrain was in the favor of the warriors. So the last battle wasn't actually on Last Stand Hill. It was a rout. By the number of markers on Last Stand Hill, it was barely one company left on the hill. A little bit more than that, because there's known that about 28 men tried to escape and got trapped in the deep ravine. Another group of 6 tried to get down to the river and were quickly overtaken. This is not a skirmish line. This is not even a very good defensive area, actually. The troops have all been split up and eliminated one company after another, pretty much. So deep ravine, the troopers tried to escape down deep ravine. It was steep. There was no way out. Warriors are on both sides. It was running a gauntlet that had no end. There was no place to go. And thus the last part of the battle ended here. This is overlooking Deep Ravine. So that part of the battle was pretty much over with. In the meantime, Benteen had joined up with Reno at the top of the ridge and with the pack train. And when he joined up, Captain Weir decided to go on ahead and see if he could join up with Custer, and he moved up to this high point. That's right here, and then Benteen joined him along with Lieutenant Godfrey, and they basically witnessed the very end of the Custer fight. Exchanged fire with the Native American warriors, and the warriors took umbrage to that and began to attack them. As a result, they pulled a tactical retreat back to the defensive positions up on that Benteen-Reno Ridge area, which actually was semi-low country. Brings it back up to here and set up into a very interesting defensive area using packs and trying to dig in. These are some of the, looking from toward the hospital field. I'm in the area basically of where Company M is located. These are rifle pits. They dug in as best they could. I'm looking down over the valley toward the river, then over these rifle pits, and walking along, you can see that they're pretty close together here. They're shallow. They didn't have anything to dig with. They may have had maybe 2 shovels, maybe 3. Usually they use their canteen kits and stuff to dig with, their knives, and use, packs. There's another Native American marker over there. More shallow pits. They're shallow. Actually, when I'm standing there, I didn't even realize. I couldn't even see them. You can see them because the camera picks it up better than my eyes did, actually. And at this point, this is called Medal of Honor Point. The second day, they had no water, and a group of men volunteered to go down this ravine to the river and take a chance of maybe not making it back. I'm looking from that point there down to the river. And this is where Company H is located, Benteen's company. And again, the Native Americans were able to crawl so close without being seen that they could throw mud clods. And this young warrior decided to charge the position of Company H and was killed here. Actually, killed a little bit further away. But in the meantime, this is the second day. Benteen's Company H counterattacked and drove the warriors back. This is an unknown soldier that was discovered. His remains were discovered in 1958. This is the area of Company G. Company G had probably lost half their men in the battle in the valley, and this is their area. And then I'm standing here with the Company K area, Lieutenant Godfrey, and they're taking on the Sharpshooter Ridge, where the Native Americans had taken up a position on high ground, overlooking them from anywhere from about 900 to 500 yards away. That's a long way, but the carbines that they had captured from the soldiers had a 900-yard range. This is the arrow is pointing out Sharpshooter Ridge. Due to Sharpshooter's Ridge, there were a lot of troopers wounded, quite a few killed, and a sharpshooter from the troopers turned his rifle and showed the warriors that they should probably stop that idea. So this is my visit. Thank you for watching.